There we go. All right, we're here. We're here.
Hey,
Hello.
everybody. Hi, Dr. McCampbell. How are you?
Hey, Pastor, Reverend.
We're using our formal titles. This
Yeah,
formality here.
we are totally formal, and I do have on sweatpants, but I'm being formal. You can't see them, so. But I'm so excited that Tyler Burns is here with me, and Tyler Burns is I've gotten to know him over the past couple of years. He's come to speak at Lee to our students and just been fantastic. And he is a lead pastor of All Nations Pensacola. And he is also the president of a wonderful organization I want to encourage you to check out and to even think about supporting them. It's called the Witness, a Black Christian Collective. And you can find, their Facebook page. And there's a lot of good material to read. Also, he and Jemar Tisby are co-hosts of the famous, maybe infamous, I don't know.
Infamous, definitely infamous.
Pass the Mic podcast. You did have a podcast at one point about the Black Panther, didn't you?
Yes, it's still up. It's called Once Upon a Time in Wakanda. It's just dormant. Our third counterpart on the podcast is myself, Bo York, and then our third counterpart, he has been deployed by the military. So we're waiting for him to get back so that we can restart that podcast. So yes, that is available wherever podcasts are played. Pass the Mic, then also Once Upon a Time in Wakanda is the name of the Black Panther podcast. So
awesome. Well, I'm so excited that you're here, and I know there are a lot of people looking forward to listening to you. So thank you.
This is your day, Mary. This is your day. I'm excited to be here. And first, I want to say congratulations to you.
Thank you
for writing something that is so important and that adds so much value, I think, to the lives of believers. And as we think about loving one another well, and how we can do that through, as you would call them, various artifacts, we call them texts.
Yeah.
And how we do that well. I hope that your digital and real life friends have been an encouragement to you in these conversations. I know there's so many emotions swirling on a day like today.
Oh, yeah.
And you're getting me at the tail end as well. So I know it's a lot.
I was like, if I'm sleepy, I know I'll wake back up once I start talking to Tyler, I'll go woke.
Oh, there it is. There it is. It's going to get flagged. Okay. This is going to get flagged. Now. It's going to get taken down.
Removed from Facebook.
But I do want to say to everybody who's watching, please go pick up this book. It is extremely important. It is a really, really informative, tremendous read. And it's actually been helpful for me as a pastor when I read it to navigate, how I'm teaching other people how to love well. So please go pick up this book. And there's a specific place you want them to pick this up. So I want to say this specific place.
Hearts and Minds bookstore. I mean, it's available everywhere, but I had a conversation this morning with Byron Borger, and it's a great independent bookstore to support. And if you get it from Hearts and Minds, you get 20% off. So
excellent. Okay. Hearts and Minds bookstore. Yes, please pick that up. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is something that grabbed me that you wrote about art's ability. You said here, the arts have almost a mystical capacity to teach a sort of attentiveness that forces us to slow down and look beyond brokenness, comprehend its cause, and disclose the image of God in the other. I absolutely love that sentence.
Oh, thank you.
So beautiful.
That's a mouthful.
It's beautiful. And I think it also talks about implicitly critiques a culture of hurry, and a culture of busyness, and a culture that causes us to miss these details. And so my question to you is, as you were writing that and processing how the arts can slow us down and throttle us back, so to speak, to be able to notice the things we should, how much of our lack of appreciation of art is built into our hurry culture, our busy culture, the speed and pace of which we're living our lives? Can you speak into that?
Yeah, I think that, can y'all tell that he hosts a podcast? I need to take lessons from you. You're so good at this. Anyway,
I'm curious for myself. I want to know because
I know.
I want to preach a sermon series on hurry. I want to slow my life
Oh,
down.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is personal for me.
And you should also talk to Makoto Fujimura, because that's
Oh
what a lot of
yes.
his with slow art and the way he so we talked about that a little bit. I'm glad to pick that back up and think more, because I think that the hurry, well, you said, does it, it kind of thwarts our appreciation of art. But I think that it's interesting that I think that if we well, I feel like that's the reason why so much entertainment is simple, formulaic, because people are impatient
Yeah.
uh, with having to spend time to really pick things apart, to really
Yes.
sit, especially to sit in something that's uncomfortable, and something that they just can't figure out. I mean, we're trained to want the happy ending where all the pieces fit together, and so part of that is related to a kind of hurry, I think. But I feel like that same hurriedness also is what kind of blocks our capacity to really love one another
Yes.
better. And I'm not saying as a person who's mastered it, because I can be very impatient.
Yes.
But I feel like just culturally, we're conditioned to just, especially in American culture, just move.
Yes.
Got to be effective, got to be efficient, just go. And this idea of, I think art, it slows us down. It causes us to look more closely. It gives us helps us with develop eyes to see. And then hopefully we can also turn that attention to human beings. I mean, of course, there's some people who then lose themselves in art, and they will be attentive to that, but then block out, so I'm hoping that art can help us slow down in a way that's almost like a spiritual discipline, to help us to really turn and see, I need to spend time with this person's story. I need to try to, what I said in that quote about to look past the brokenness and to try to understand the reason for, like, again, like wanting to know, like, what is their story? Why are they behaving this terrible way? Not putting up with, not saying it's okay for people to, be jerks or be unkind, but to try to understand, like, why, it's coming out of, there's usually a wound there, what's so I think slowing down can help. So that's thank you for that.
Great. No, and that's really helpful, because it actually, as I was reading it, I intentionally, as a result, it convicted me, because I know we want to accomplish things so quickly. And I think about how much the rhythm of my life is built around getting from one meeting to the next, one task to the next.
Oh yeah.
One engagement to the next, one thing in my agenda to the next. And there's not really a margin to notice and see details.
Yes.
And especially where I work, like the office that I work at is right in the heart of downtown in my city, Pensacola. And so the amount of people I walk past just going from a parking garage to an office is far more than if I were going into just a regular office building or somewhere else, working somewhere else. And so I'm not trained, and I haven't trained myself to slow down enough to see those details, and to comprehend that each person that I pass has a story, and each person that I pass is uniquely representing and disclosing the image of God in my city. And that's weighty to think about, but it also caused me to slow down, not just my rhythm, but how I read your book as well, and how I dissected books in general, and say, let me pause and let me really see beyond the argument, and let me see beyond just the text, and really dive into the context and understand it. And to that point, I also just loved how you incorporated Black literature. I just loved it, and I know that's just obvious. I'm going to talk about Black literature with The Witness and everything, but I just appreciated your incorporation of A Raisin in the Sun, even
Mm.
in the midst. I just so appreciated that, and how much that work of art and that text means to Black excellence and Black art. And so as you
So
were trying
powerful.
to, it really is. And as you were trying
Such
to
a
bring
powerful.
all these different sources together, what was that like choosing what you were going to include? Because I know there's probably so many things you wanted to
Yeah.
include. And I actually haven't been able to talk to you about this offline, but how did you choose what was actually going to go in the book versus the things that you
Yeah.
were going to save for later or what have you?
Yeah. That's a good question. I mean, because I changed a lot of the thing. I think it's this kind of thing when you start writing, something takes it on its own life.
Mm.
And that one chapter with A Raisin in the Sun, I was just talking about that earlier, that it's the weirdest chapter. It's the weirdest combination, but that's kind of been my thing for many years, is that I love to find a connection between seemingly disparate things. And the thing is, if we're talking about the human condition and we're talking about longing for God, any good art at its core is going to have something that attends to that.
Yes.
And for that chapter about yeah, so that's the chapter, the weird chapter where I talked about Flannery O'Connor. Wait, who was it? Flannery O'Connor and then C.S. Lewis. Those two aren't
Right.
so surprising, but then Sufjan Stevens
Yeah.
and Better Call Saul
Yes, yes.
and
Which
The
I
Raisin in
loved.
the Sun. And but all of these works were showing how fickle we are
Yes.
in our relationships, and how we just, well, I talk about the pendulum swing from kind of wretchedness to greatness. And also how like a show like Better Call Saul, who this character that was funny but we couldn't stand him in Breaking Bad, but in Better Call Saul we see his backstory, and
Mm.
we have empathy for this sort of very pitiful man. And so
Yeah.
I coupled that with Raisin in the Sun, because Walter Lee Younger is such an interesting character, because when students read it or watch it, because I've used it in class a lot, they initially just like, oh, don't like that character.
Right.
But then you start, like when his mother says, she starts challenging his sister to really, have you really wept for this boy? Have you lamented for him? Have you seen, and he screams, this is the world. It's kind of like, this is the world that I inherited. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I'm trying to be a man. And even he's trying to be a human in a world that has
Yes.
for so long dehumanized him. And he's not going the best way about it. And he does learn that at the end of the story. And of course, I wanted to make sure that it was clear that the context, that story is very different. With that story, I talked about systemic issues
Mm-hmm.
that cause someone to have, a personality that is very difficult, but that still, this is the image of God in a person who's been
Yes.
bruised and battered. So I don't know, just those works together. I can't even explain how I chose them. A lot of them are just things that I teach regularly or that I love. And Better
Yeah.
Call Saul, I think I just watched it for the first time. And it's like, this, I want to write about this. I really want to write about this.
Yeah.
And it fits, because the inconsistency of his character, and you think, oh, he's going to redeem himself, then no, he doesn't. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, yeah,
And,
some of them were just longtime favorites, but then others were just, but they clicked, they made connections in my mind that I hope I was able to spell out on the page, because they're odd
yeah,
connections.
and I love that you bring that point up, because I think a lot of times we miss how much instruction is in the things that we love, and in the
Yeah.
things that in just enjoyment,
Yeah.
and that there's beauty in just interacting and engaging with those things that capture and captivate us. And so what I particularly loved about the Better Call Saul point is I could tell it was just so fascinating to you. You were like, I have to write it. That's one of those you can
Yeah.
tell, being a writer, when someone says, oh, this comes out of a place of deep enjoyment,
Yes.
and deep delight. And
Yes.
so this is why I noticed it and I said, oh, she just wanted to write about this. And it connects so well as we think about the capacity within all of us to betray or portray great brokenness
Yes.
And deep, as you say, wretchedness, and also have the capacity to do seemingly heroic, beautiful acts of sacrifice for others. And so it's just all in the same person. And oftentimes, you know, for many of us, as we would interact with others in the same day or in the same week, or in the same, you know, relationship, that all those can exist. And how much more should we slow down and feel that empathy for our neighbors, knowing that of ourselves?
And we do that ourselves. And that's the other thing that, you know, is that there was a chapter on that, as well as that another part of having empathy for others is to actually realize that art can show us ourselves. And like when we see ourselves more clearly, then we are perhaps more forgiving and more compassionate towards others. And yeah, so I chose a, you know, vampire movie to talk about that. So that was
right.
I mean, yeah, I just very unlikely. I love smashing things together that don't seem like they should. But I have a question or two for you, Tyler.
Please,
that I've really been wondering about. A little switching gears, a little. Although this is all connected, because I actually just watched your Q Ideas talk, which was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Everyone
thank you.
Look that up. It's Q Ideas. I think it is the gift
of the Black Christian experience. Yeah.
The gift of the Black Christian experience. And you're talking about the seeming paradox, how hard it is to Black and Christian, you know, growing up in a culture where Christianity was used so often as a weapon to try to enslave and dehumanize and to succeed in a lot of those things. And, you know, as Douglas talks about the Christianity of Christ and the Christianity
of the land. Yes.
And so I'm just thinking, I mean, when you've come to speak at Lee and then other things I've listened to from you, I've just been like so inspired and learned so much on your focus on the prophetic aspect of the Black church. And I know also you have a little Brueggemann love in there.
Oh yeah, of course.
Brueggemann love. But I'm just wondering how anyone watching this and to study Black, I think it's so important to learn about the history of the Black church. And the present, you know, like what can, and Black Christians who have just so often been ignored. Like you listed off a bunch of names, and I only recognize Fannie Lou Hamer, and I thought I need to go and look up these people that he's talking about. But I'm just wondering about, I mean, this kind of connects again. I'm just thinking, what can the Black church teach the entire, you know, the American church in general about empathy?
Oof. Wow, that's a tremendous question. I love talking about this, and thank you for those really kind words about the Q Ideas talk, which was a very important moment for me personally in the crafting of it. I had to go deep in my own personal story and in my story and my interactions with my family to produce it. So I'm glad that people have been blessed by it, encouraged by it. But you know, when I think about the Black Christian experience, the reason why we do the work that we do at The Witness, the reason why I'm in a Black church today, leading a Black church today, the reason why I proudly identify as a Black Christian is because what has been soaked into our experience and what has been soaked into our theology is an acute recognition of both in the paradox, which is the pain and the power. So there's an acute recognition of pain. And so that's really baked into whether it's Black liturgical experience. So if you take, for example, a Black church experience, you can experience a range of emotion from jumping and shouting and laughing to weeping to screaming. I even think about what our Easter service at my church a couple of days ago, and there was a range of emotions. There were people who laughed, who cried, who danced, who knelt at the altar, who wept, who screamed. And so there's this this acute recognition of all of these, that there is deep, deep abiding pain that we bring to our faith and to our shared experiences with fellow believers. But it is in that pain that Christ meets us, and that there is power there. And so I think one of the things that I really love to tell people is when you study Black theology and culture and the Black church, you quickly have to give up your expectation for a neat and tidy narrative, so that everything is going to be summarized and put together, and there's going to be a bow on it at the end, and we're going to come to this easy resolution. It is not. And many of us would say we haven't come to a resolution, and we are still searching and fighting for that resolution, and still reaching for it, even though it is in motion. And I think it's frustrating when I hear conversations and arguments and debates, because they lose that tension. And there's such an easy push and such an easy thirst and desire for it to be wrapped up. And it's either this or that. It's one side or the other. And there's no room to understand that we might sit in the tension of both of these. Yes, we might sit in the tension that slave masters have used the Bible recklessly to keep their slaves in line, and misapplied, eisegetically took the scriptures and used it as a bludgeon to keep enslaved Africans silent. Yet, yes, that is true. And it is also true that enslaved Africans searched the scriptures for themselves, because the understanding of the God that they praised and worshiped and shouted to, their understanding of that God was that he had something to say about these chains that we were in. And so both can exist. There can be great, deep pain and abuse, and also tremendous power in the same experience. And studying that has been not just something that has enhanced, because a lot of times this is what people think. Well, you study Black church or Black theology so it can enhance your ministry, it can enhance your experience, it can enhance your understanding. And all that is true, but I'll just speak for me, that studying this has saved me. When people don't understand, like, it's with everything that is happening in the world, if I did not have a witness of people who have come before, who have walked the same path and much worse than I have, but have refused to give up hope, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. But because there is a witness, this is why we call ourselves a witness, because there is a witness, we are able to bear witness in our time of what God has done. And so we sing as they sang. We shout as they have shouted. We jump as they. This is why I'm in a Black Christian experience in my church, because I stand in that tradition in order to say the same thing that you did when they were burning churches in Birmingham is the same exact thing that I will do now as they leave Black bodies dead in streets. We're going to do the same exact thing and trust that the power that was for them is for us too.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Tyler. That is just so powerful.
Thank you for asking. You got me turned up now.
I know you fired up now. No, my pastor, I think maybe you met Kevin Smith, the pastor at City Fellowship, who I remember when he came out and spoke to my students, and he talked about the Black church as being the American persecuted church. Yes. And that that all Christians in America could really stand to look towards that church to really see what does it mean to be like this example. I mean, again, I'm coming, of course, from outside of that tradition, and I can't feel it in the same way, and I haven't experienced it, but the sense of, I don't know, to me, even in my own faith, to look towards the Black church and to see, and even in my own church that has many elderly Black people that I know have had unbelievably difficult experiences, to see them get up and testify. And I think if the God that has given them hope and saved them, it's just an amazing thing to read Frederick Douglass's appendix and to see the prophetic clarity that he can see through, that, okay, this is false religion. and this is
Yes.
Jesus, you know? And
Yes. Yes.
thank you. That's just, I mean, I just feel like, yeah, I
And,
really feel
and
like a
it,
lot of
oh no,
I
go
feel
ahead. I'm
like,
sorry.
yeah, no, I just am thinking, here I am going against the very thing I'm about to say, I was going to say, but I was just thinking how I wish many American Christians could, you know, be intentional about wanting to learn from the Black church.
Well, and it's even a complicated experience in our own, as beautiful as it is.
Yeah.
There's complication even in our Black church expression that is not in and of itself a silver bullet, that every Black church isn't always considered the exact, you know,
yes,
exact faithfulness of what has come before, right? There's a mixture of things. Capitalism has touched our churches, misogyny, patriarchy, all these things have touched our churches. And so it's not to say that, oh, this is the penultimate only experience of how God might move. But it is to say that there's something baked into our DNA, that there's something in our spiritual lineage that the church needs, and that the church doesn't just need to learn from, but I believe that the church needs to take a step back and allow to lead it.
yes, yes.
And so that's like
that's it right there. Thank you.
And that's my hope. That's my desire. That's what I hope we would recognize, is that, you know, broadly people of color, but I can only speak for my experience as it's what I'm baked into. But the Black Christian experience has so much to lead the church in.
Yes.
And that's my hope for the next 30 years of ministry, or however long the Lord will have me do it, is to build infrastructures that facilitate leadership within the context of the church. For Black Christians, it's why we do what we do at The Witness, why we record Pastor Mike. It's why I'm a pastor as well. So
that's amazing. Yeah, because there's one thing of being like, I'm going to study about the Black, let me take my notes, study the Black church. Isn't that wonderful? You know, I can learn a few spiritual lessons. That's different than like, let me step back and actually center the voices of people who have been on the margins historically. I mean, I do feel like that prophetic strand. Okay, now we're getting into Brueggemann, because I am thinking, when you read Brueggemann, I just kept thinking so much about the spirituals.
Yes,
because of the Walter Brueggemann, and I'm just saying in case people don't know, in the prophetic imagination talks about the two sides of the prophetic. There's the lament and the critique. You know, that how you know, so often with when there's a sort of empire mentality controlling you, you are allowed to lament. You have to pretend everything's okay, right? And whereas the prophetic laments, and a lament is subversive, it's critiquing, it's saying something's wrong. On the other hand, from a biblical perspective, it's there. I think both of these are biblical, but there has to be hope. You know, there's a real reality of hope. And I'm like, I can't think of anything. I mean, one of the best examples you could ever think of are the spirituals, you know, that
absolutely
hold things together. And I'm just thinking about, well, getting back to the topic of empathy, is that, to me, right at the heart of that is the human condition, and humans that are honest about their pain and their dependency upon the Lord and their need for God. And when we really see that in other human beings and ourselves, that helps us to you know, empathize. But absolutely. Brueggemann,
you even think about, but you even think about a lot of the things that the culture has looked at from Black church expression, and deemed to be wrong or false or what have you, actually carry with it so much more depth. You take, you know, not to get down this rabbit trail, but you take someone like Dr. Jeremiah Wright, who was maligned for what he said in his infamous sermon. But if you listen to the whole sermon, there is yet so much hope. And there's yet so much and there's yet so much power. And people miss it because they take a soundbite and they say, well, see, and this is, again, gets back to empathy. When you have the empathy to slow down and pay attention, you'll find something beautiful even there that could be instructional for us. And even if you were to say, I disagree with the deployment of the language or the expression, you can yet still understand that there is more than just that encompassed in a message that is delivered powerfully as both lament and hope. So
yes,
yeah.
and
I know we're going down this rabbit trail.
No, but it's I was just thinking too about the decontextualization. I mean, I'm wondering if that has something to do with the slowness and the speed, but it's a lot of it is connected to this idea that you want something to work for you.
Yes.
You know, it's not like you're ready to listen
That's
and
good.
learn, but
That's good.
the decontextualization, and we see that with the Bible more than anything else. Let's take something out of its context and use it as a weapon. Of course, we see that with Dr. King all the time, right? And you mentioned
I have a dream.
yeah, you mentioned Jeremiah, right? That whole situation. And yeah, it's like it's violent. It's you know, it's a violence to it. It's like, let's take this out and use it to serve my purpose, you know, to gain power.
Yes, it is. That's it.
And so yeah, just thinking how that relates to maybe, oh, I'm making the preacher get excited. That's good.
This is so good. This is so decontextualization. Oh, it's violence for the sake of power, which is what it is, right? And when we start to understand that, we start to see how a decontextualized approach to all of life robs us of the ability to truly have love and empathy for neighbor.
Yes.
And how violent it is in what we claim to believe, which is that we are supposed to love God with all of our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love neighbor as ourselves. And you can't do that if you practice, instead of practicing a discipline of empathy, you practice the discipline of decontextualization. You can't do it if you do that. So that's beautiful. I love that. And this is why I love your book. Again, everybody should pick up this book, Hearts and Minds Bookstore. I'm telling you, this is just a tremendous book, and it's really helpful in helping us to slow down, to listen, to pay attention, and to love one another well.
Yeah, sorry, you're saying that, and here I am like interrupting you. So sorry.
No,
I'm
you're
slowing
fine.
down. I'm going
Please,
fast.
please.
I'm going fast. I'm going fast. No, I was just wanted to say enthusiastically that you're one of the people that's really taught me. Really, you know, Byron Borger asked me this morning about my interest in African American literature, and I was talking about after, you know, Ferguson happened, and I mentioned learning from you and Ekemini and different people I kind of met initially in Christ and pop culture, and I mean, you know, I just didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
And you gotta, you know, and so, and just so all of this ties together, you know, everything ties to everything, especially when we're talking as Christians. That, I mean, yeah. So I'm just very thankful for things I've learned from you, and I've learned a lot about, you know, prophetic listening and these sorts of things. So I really appreciate it. And I know we got to wrap it up, but I got one little question for you.
Oh, please go ahead.
If you had to pick, and I'm asking this of everybody, and I think I'm going to make a list because there's such great answers. If you had to pick one work of art that you might recommend to someone else to help them become more empathetic, because maybe it's done that for you. Can you think of one? I mean, I'm sure you can think of a lot, but just one.
Yeah, so there's one that I use as always something that helps empathy and stokes it when you actually sit down and wrestle with it, and that's the album Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar. That's for sure one that I would say stokes tons of empathy and love. But here's what I will give you. Yesterday, my father and I went to watch, kind of as a post-Easter wind down, we went to watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, the movie and the film. And it was maddeningly strange, but it was brilliant and beautiful. And it really is a discussion in empathy without giving anything away, a discussion in empathy. And it's kind of a mother-daughter journey wrapped up in an action movie, a multiverse action movie. It's pretty much all I can say.
Really?
But this is, yeah, it's beautiful. And if you get the opportunity to watch it, Everything Everywhere All at Once, it's a lot. There's a lot happening. It's a lot. So I'm not going to be like, oh man, it's this nice, neat. It is not nice and neat. I was talking to my dad afterwards, and I said, I feel like this is the strangest film I've ever seen. It's bonkers, but it is truly beautiful, and it helped me sit with empathy for family, and empathy for a parent-child relationship, which can be very difficult for many people. But it had me sit with that a lot more than I was expecting to. So that's a more recent one.
Oh, great. Isn't it great though when you go into a movie and it's completely the opposite of what you expect and you're really challenged? And I mean, I know that's the times that I've really gone into a movie and like cried, it's usually something that I didn't expect.
Right.
And it's yeah, shock kind of surprises you. But okay, well, I put that. I keep hearing the name of that film, passed around, but I haven't looked into it, so I need to go see it.
At first, I was like, I don't know, and then about an hour into the film, I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, it kind of hit me. So it's beautiful. So that's one I definitely recommend for people to check out.
Thank you so much. Well, Tyler, this has been an honor, a pleasure. And yeah, just I'm sure people have really enjoyed it. And I want to encourage them to go look up your things that you've written. And I mean, also they can tune in to hear you preach.
Oh yeah.
It's, I mean, I'm telling you, I have. So I mean,
very kind.
Great.
Yes.
He's
very kind.
Just a gifted preacher. So, okay. Well, thank you, Tyler. And
thank you so much, Mary. It's been an honor. I appreciate your work, and the ability to celebrate it today is a gift. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.